Hi. So excited to be here again with you on a Monday on MinkLife Motivation Live. If you do not remember who I am, it is okay. My name is Monica Henderson, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you today. We have a great conversation ready to happen for you, ready to unfold today. And so I want to just go ahead and get this party started, shall we? Welcome to Mink Life Motivation Live. Now, every single week we get together and we help you really understand personal, business, brand, and network development. And we do this because we want you to get motivated, stay inspired, keep networking, and gain knowledge so that you can live a life designed by you, for you, healthier, wealthier, and fulfilled. So, I know you're probably thinking, what do we have up our sleeve this time? We've had so many conversations and so many talks, but today specifically, what we're talking about is why is understanding your own brand so important? And we're going to do that because it's time to build your brand. To help me do this, I believe we should go ahead and jump in and get it motivated. And this week's topic is all about creating a brand that people want to buy. And we're going to do this with our co-host. So our first co-host is wellness thrive strategist at Wellbeing and Worth. She is also Mink Life Motivation Master Trainer and the Dean of Mink Life University. Please help me welcome my co-host, Andrea Goodworth.
Hey there, good afternoon.
And not to be outdone, another fabulous woman who is the owner and photographer of Headshots by Peggy. She is also a vlogger and a dynamic speaker at the next global virtual conference. My other co-host, Peggy Warny.
Hey, I always
Hey,
want to
hey,
like
hey.
clap and yell for Andrea, but I'm off camera. So, yay, Andrea.
Yay, we'll clap for each other. How about that?
That's funny. That's so
All right, ladies. So today it's the three of us hanging out. We had a very special guest, and we will explain to you what's going on. Today's show is going to be a little bit different than we usually kind of dive in. Our guest is coming to us, but not live. And so I hope everyone bears with us as we struggle through the technologies of pulling someone in from the past into the current so that he could actually have his presence on the show today. But before we dive into that, let's really talk about this. Now, marketing strategy is really kind of, I think, the scariest part of building your business, right? Where it's like we all know we have to do it, but we all think we are really bad at it. Or we're always looking at someone else's marketing strategy and like they really have it together, but I don't know if I'm in that same ballpark. So today we're going to be having kind of quite the conversation about that. But the question that I have for you ladies today is really about why is having a marketing strategy crucial to success in business? And I think I'm going to let Peggy start this time first, if that's okay.
Well, the words marketing strategy is like my favorite thing to talk about. Um, I take one little piece of the marketing strategy and try to, make that the best it can be. But marketing strategy is really your branding. It's who you are. It's how you tell people who you are, what you do, and why they should love you and why they should work with you. In other words, it's going to let them know immediately, are you trustworthy? Are you knowledgeable? Are you a goofball? Like, what kind of a business are you? Like, who are you? Tell me who you are. And that's what you'd use your marketing strategy to reach your number one clientele base.
Absolutely. Andrea?
Why else is it critical? All the things Peggy said, and in addition to, if you want to show up doing well, you need to have a strategy in place so that can happen while you're doing the work. That is really so. Not only do you need it just because you have to be found and people need to know how great you are, you also need it so those people will come to you. And if you're busy doing your work, it's like a chicken and an egg situation. If you don't plan from the beginning how it's going to go or how it's going to unfold, you're bound to get frustrated somewhere or someplace in there. And so it is critical. Like it is fundamental. I think we talk about it in our brand builder. I know you're going to follow up with this, Monica, about how to lay that out initially so that it's manageable for you to do, so you can be found and service your clients at the same time. Because without having a strategy ahead of time, you'll be one chasing the tail of the other. If you're, one day I'm marketing, one day I'm servicing clients, and so you just will lose it. So it's definitely really good to focus. Well, you're probably going to say this, focus on one at first and then add, but that might be the second question. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. But yeah,
Well,
it's
I would say you're kind of dead on in the right direction, right? So the thing with anything is you should have a strategy before you do anything. When I was a couturier, I would say always measure twice and cut once, right? The reason why having a strategy is so very important is because it's just that. If you take the time out first to plan out what you're going to do, and then and gather all the materials that you need in order to execute that, then you don't lose time, energy, or resources wasted on like just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks. You really get to think it out. You get to kind of make sure that it all aligns together. You don't sound like a crazy person coming off on the different platforms talking about different things, and you really can kind of, like Peggy was saying, uh, really show your personality really well. Versus if you don't have a strategy, it really can come off as you just, you know, if you want people to trust your business, then they're looking at all the parts of you, including how you communicate and how you roll out the information. So that's why it is super important. But not only that, so that you aren't running around like a chicken without your head off, because you actually know what's going to happen when, where, why, and how ahead of time. So the strategy is super important. And yesterday, I specifically was having a conversation with Lee Hicks and his Diamond Lounge group. Shout out to Lee. And he asked me to come in and speak about marketing strategy. And he gave me one of like the best compliments, which I didn't really expect at all. And he was like, "You have systemized all of your things so well. You are really organized in how you laid it out." Now, I never really saw myself as a marketer per se, right? Or a person who knows a whole lot about marketing strategy. I knew something. But even someone who is in the branding space and talks about branding to his group was was in awe of my strategy. And it was because I'm not really that great of a marketer, but I am really good at planning and laying things out in a sequence so that it all goes so. And so then when I pulled the trigger on my marketing, um, it came off as though I'm like brilliant in marketing. And so you can almost kind of cheat the system a little bit if you do more planning and less just kind of let me throw it out there, versus if you aren't really the most savvy person with words, or you aren't the most savvy person with images. But if you take some time and you really just kind of lay out all of the things that you want to happen, you pull it all together, and then you plan out when things are going to roll out, you will look like way more savvy than the average person. And to be honest with you, I mean, all of my marketing materials are created in PowerPoint. And so, and so, but there are so many other places, right, where we can get these types of things. There's Canva, there's like all these apps that you can do that. But imagine if you took those apps and you put it to a strategy, how much of a big guy you will look, even though it's just little you and your business, right? So that's my 2 cents on marketing strategy and why it's so crucial. I just feel like it makes you look like a badass, even though you may not feel like a badass. Thoughts, ladies?
I agree. I've always been under the belief that do the most you can do, look the most professional you can look, even if you're on a, teeny tiny budget. you can do things that make yourself appear to be, rolling with the big guys.
And
Absolutely.
and to just follow up with both of what you said, both of you, is that failing to plan is planning to
Planning to
fail.
fail.
We've all heard it. I think it's really fundamental though. Like if you can't go, what did the plan say on a day when you can't get it together? What did the plan say? The plan will save you. The plan is like your life raft in terms of
Absolutely.
balancing all the parts of your business.
Yeah, and
I
you know,
wrote
like
down this
most.
really amazing quote this morning. Hold on, let me
Ooh,
find it really quick.
while you're looking
Um,
for that, it's really interesting, um, how the one thing that entrepreneurs aren't necessarily good at, which is technically planning, right? Because we're like most entrepreneurs are out of the box thinkers, and they're like, yeah, no, I'm a visionary, right? Is the one thing that can actually take their vision substantially further, right? And so leaning into building a strategy is so important. Peggy, you have a great quote for us. I'm
I
excited to hear it.
do. The quote is, "The better the process, the better the outcome." Who said that? Who could
Hmm.
that quote have been from?
I don't know. We
Yes,
might act.
our very own Monica Henderson. I was like, I'm putting that on Instagram today. That was so great. I wrote it down, and I didn't know I'd be using it this quick today, but yeah.
Oh, you must have went through the
Yep.
processes
Quest.
class.
Yep.
Yes. Uh, but it's true. And what's funny is that is the area that like that can save everything, right? If you can have a process for anything, it will save it. It'll save you, it'll save it, it'll make it all work better and cohesive. And you know what's interesting? Someone asked me this weekend, you don't get bored of doing the same thing over and over again? And I had to really think about that. And I was like, no, I don't, because having the foundation of a process for my marketing, right? Having a foundation for a process of how things roll out gives me more space for creativity, because I don't have to think about the things that I'm scared. Like, you know how we hold the thought in our head, like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I do this. I got to make sure I do this. I got to make sure I do this. I got to make sure, that's, I don't know about you, but that's how my brain talks to me over and over again, really repetitive and a little naggy. And so it allows me to not have to worry or hold that thought that I have to do this, because I know it's safe in the process. Like it's on the list of things that I'm going to do. If I follow the plan, if I follow the process, then it'll get done. And so yeah, it kind of rears its ugly head again, right? It's like we're all the way in marketing strategies, and here comes business processes all over again. Just really funny. So what because we have one less guest, we have a little bit of more wiggle room to talk today. So, what business process that you guys are, when it comes to your marketing strategy, right? Like, what is the one thing that had someone told you sooner you would have done earlier in your
Consistency.
marketing? Consistency.
Consistency. I used to think I was consistent because I did a video once a month, and I was like, yeah, but I do it every single month. That's consistent. And he was like, no, you need to put new content up once a week, repeat old content once a week, and comment and like, and, every single day. And that was hard for me because I'm not a lover of social media. I would have to set alarms in my phone. I still have alarms in my phone, like make sure you upload the video, make sure you do this, but for almost 4 years now, I have uploaded a video every single Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And what that has done is it gives me the peace of mind that it's done. I don't have to worry about it. It's so much second nature now that it's not even a point of stress anymore. But everybody knows that that's going to happen. and everybody knows that there's going to be a vault day, you know, an old video there. Everybody knows exactly when it is. And it gives me the perception of not only trustworthiness, but what's,
Reliability.
yeah, reliability, but almost like a grounding, like I'm a real grown up and you can count on me. Like this is what's going to happen.
Yep.
Like if, you know, if Pepsi or Coca-Cola says something, you know, it's going to happen because they're a huge company, right? And they're not going to take the risk of being sued or, you know, and I kind of have that. It's like, oh, this is going to happen. Why Peggy said it's going to happen. And then subconsciously, when you make an appointment with me, you have that same comfort. Like, you know that I'm dependable. You know that what I say, something, it's going to happen because you've been watching for the last 4 years, and every single thing has a, you know, a purpose and a time. And so it gives you accountability, it gives you structure, it gives you credibility. And just like I said, for me personally, my video used to be such a piece of stress in my life. It was like, oh my God, I got to do this, and I don't know. And now it's just like, oh, it's just something I do, you know.
Hmm.
It's just like getting up and brushing my teeth. Like, I don't even think about it. I just do it. It doesn't take time out of my day. It's not inconvenient. It's just what I do. And that's how every piece of your marketing, when you have a plan and you have it scheduled, it just becomes second nature, and it stops being that, oh God, I hate doing the marketing. I hate doing the social media. I hate doing this. Takes so much time. I hope that none of you think, oh my God, it takes so much time to brush my teeth in the morning. I just hate brushing my teeth, because that's ridiculous. And we don't think that way. We don't think, oh my God, this takes like 3 minutes. Like, I could be doing other things, but literally clicking the button to post your social media takes less than 3 minutes. So it's not really that big of a deal. And once it becomes part of your routine, it's just there. It's easy.
Andrea.
All that. I'm done.
Oh, you're gonna be
I'm
the
done.
what she
No,
said
no, no,
person
no,
this
no.
week.
I wanted to do it just to say
I'm
it.
the only one that can do that. I'm the only
I
one
want
that
to be
can
like,
get
I'm
away
going
with
to do
that.
like all that she said. And I think the thing that comes even before, not before, the thing that I wish I had known, many of the things she said were absolutely dead on. The big thing about consistency, yes, but what makes you consistent? The plan. So, so we're back to how much planning needs to go into your story or what you're going to be known for. I mean, you hit on the fact that you're like, everyone knows for the last 4 years, I do a 10 o'clock Thursday Pacific time video. Count on it. It's scheduled. It's in there. But you have had 4 years of thinking about what's going to go on that Thursday, right? And
Mhm.
so for the people that are new, and as a new entrepreneur, I'm going to call myself a new entrepreneur. I've been entrepreneurial. Have we had the hustle versus entrepreneur? Was that last week? Because it's
That
all,
was last week
that
when
was
we were
last week.
talking about
The,
the
the
hustle versus
hustler,
entrepreneur.
like, turning something over to do something, 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 because, well, that's just what you do when you're an entrepreneur, versus like that entrepreneur with a business strategy and structure so that you can get creative, so that you can grow and scale all those different steps. So the thing that, oh, you just go be in business. Yeah, but without a plan, you're only going to get so far in business. And so as somebody who just jumps into everything, guilty. I would say, and I say this to all new entrepreneurs, is what is it that you want to do and by when, and make everything fit those really big important questions. Then you don't have the stress, to Peggy's point, because you just are
Yeah.
doing the regular until it's so regular. She's pulling from her vault for her extra video. And then you're like, oh, what do I want to investigate? Or I want to take someone on a new journey. What's that going to look like? So it's really, and how much time marketing actually takes. It
Hmm.
takes time to make the plan and really execute it so that your customers experience you fully. And so, if you're ever feeling dissatisfied with your business, I want to add this too. Look at your marketing. Look at what narrative and story are you telling, so that you can lean back into the thing you love so you can get doing it. I just yeah, no one told me that part. No one told me
Yeah.
that part really intrinsically of really, they told me in different places that it finally fell all together, and it's really solid now, is that that shift takes the strategy, and that shift in like having what you want, envisioning it and putting it down is really really the key for just about everything, but really for your marketing. If you're like me, don't like social media, don't want to be there, every time I go, I'm like, I'm in the abyss, let me out, get me out of here because I just want to get back to work. Yeah, you definitely have a plan for the way they make you consume it. So,
Yeah. What I didn't know that I learned over this last year is that it requires layering. Um, it's not one big chunk of like, okay, I marketed, right? It's not like something you just like dump into the world. It really requires layering. It requires, I'm going to do this one thing consistently. And then after I have that down and that's systemized and it's like brushing my teeth, and I'm going to add this thing in. And so now I have this thing and this thing going. And when this becomes that next thing that is comfortable and it's like, oh, it's like brushing my hair and brushing my teeth. All right, I'm on the way to looking beautiful, right? Then it's like, and then you add this next thing to it. And a lot of the times when people think about marketing strategies, they're like, I got to be everywhere all the time, all at once. And that actually, one, is not sustainable because, in order to create a habit, it does require the consistency, like
like Peggy.
Peggy was saying, and it does require some forethought, like Andrea was saying. And so if you take those two components and then you add them in layers, right? So how this show became one of the layers of my marketing, right? And it became, well, we're going to do this every Monday at this same time, and we're just going to show up every Monday and do this. And then each of the topics layer on top of the other topics. And then it was like, well, now that we have the show, there's plenty of content. We can pull some of the little pieces off of the show and layer those in on the week. I'm still totally still in now. We're going to go back because we're almost at the end of all of our topics. So now we can go back and have a Vault Day. So maybe Watch Party Wednesdays will turn into also like or maybe Throwback Thursdays will be um will be an old Volt show or something, right? And but that's something now because it's so systemized that I can add in another thing, and I can add in other platforms easily because I have a foundational piece that we have decided to do on a consistent basis. And from that it drove other things that we could do without creating different content for different places. And so, like Andrea alluded to earlier, really kind of focusing on one thing at a time and using that one thing to be consistent, and then adding something in after that to be consistent, and then adding something else in after that to be consistent, really kind of does create the full-fledged marketing so that you really are getting the comments like I'm getting. You're like everywhere. Every time I turn around, your face or your product or your person or a quote of yours shows up in my space. Thanks, Peggy, from my quote coming back to haunt me in this space. But it really is about kind of that layering effect in with the consistency and the planning. And so I just love where my marketing is now. But I can definitely say that that was something that I learned this year through this process of even just doing this show. So one of the coolest
Can I
people,
add something?
yes.
I hope I'm not getting in front of and ruining your next thing, because I don't know what else you're going to say. But the other thing that I really appreciate about you, Monica, and the way you market, and I feel it's the same way that my beliefs on marketing is, a lot of times people equate marketing to sales, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, you need a commercial to say, "Come buy my product." And I don't think that, I'm not that type of person. And the way I market is, let me give you something and let me see if I can help you. And then if you want more help, then you can come see me. But and you do the same thing. You offer something. You're not just give me. You're like, I'm here to help and I've got something for you. And I think when we change your mindset on marketing, it's not as ugly as it. Marketing sometimes to some people can sound really ugly. And I think it's more, reframe that to me. But I know I got off track. You should never say we have extra time when I'm on live ever.
No, but that's really important to the conversation about marketing though, because so this whole section, this whole month has been about increasing awareness. And that's all marketing is, right? It's not actually selling anybody anything. It's letting them know that the product exists. And so it's a great reframe that you're asking for as far as marketing, because it's not really about selling anything. It's about really bringing awareness to the buyer that this is an option, and educating them enough to know that this is the place you want to go to get what you're looking for, whether it's a fix for something that you're a problem in your life, or an aspirational thing that you want to step into because it looks sexy, or it feels good, or it looks like that's the lifestyle you want to have, right? That is all marketing is. And so, yeah, I don't do any of, well, one, I give away a lot, but I have so much more that's behind the paywall. So if I can give all of this away for free and there's still more behind the paywall, for me, it's not really that big of a deal, right? If I had nothing behind the paywall, then I might be a little bit more like stingy with information, and stingy with like, oh, well, I can't share that much because then they won't want to buy something. And it's like, no, that's not the case.
Well,
What
even if you don't have a lot, actually, it's the sharing that gets the person wanting to know,
Yeah.
if this is free, I bet there's more. And so
Yeah.
I would also say that there are so many good speakers that I follow that actually are like, to distinguish yourself, as Peggy said, it's not about, here's my placard, this is what I got for you today, $5.99, $10.99, $199. It's not that. It's really, hi, you know what? I want you to try this and see if you like it. Because if you like it, I know where you can get
Hmm.
more, better, different, and we can customize it. And that's a
Yeah.
whole other conversation for people. And they're like, oh, really?
Oh. We all
That's
like
where that,
custom stuff.
yeah, or meeting you where you are so you can get to the next step. And so I love that, Peggy. And I didn't want to interrupt because I think a lot of new entrepreneurs that feeds into the imposter syndrome that we're so counter to, is that you have some excellence in something that
Oh
you
yeah.
can change and make someone's life much better or different or changed. And
Yeah.
even if you're just starting out and you're like, well, I'll give away, if I give this away, I won't have that happens so much with entrepreneurs that they
Hmm.
can't figure out. I'm like, well, you give that away, then give this, what comes next. That's what you would then market
One of
to.
the things, speaking of following people, one of the things that Peggy said to me years ago was, she's like, listen, if you want all of my coaching for free, you are more than welcome to watch 365 days worth of videos to get all the content that I have in my program. If you don't want to pay for it, that's fine. You'll pay for it in time. You'll have to get a little dose at a time, dripped on you over a year worth of content. Or you could just pay for it and I could give it to you in 2 weeks. Either way, you could have it. But and I thought that was like brilliant how she said that. She's like, if you want to do that kind of work and you want to take it the slow route, that's fine. It's all here, it's all free, and you can do it. Or you can pay for the experience to go faster. And that, for those who kind of like, I have so much I want to give, that might be a direction to go as well, right? Where it's like, here's some really tiny tidbits every single, like, dripped on you slowly over such a long period of time, that if you just want to speed this up, you can pay me and we can speed all this up. And so I think that's a good thing for those entrepreneurs who are like, I want to give all of it. It's like, yeah, give it all, but just stretch it out so long that they'll want to pay you to take it faster. So our next segment, which is one of our favorite segments, or at least one of my favorite segments of the show, is the entrepreneur's journey. And like I said, today's a little different as our entrepreneur's journey guest is not here. And the reason why he is not here is because he was scheduled for the show today and then had a medical procedure that needed to be scheduled for today instead. And originally, we were going to, like, usually when a guest cancels, you're like, okay, well, we'll find another guest. But in this case, our special guest, and I'll leave the description of him to Andrea, as she is just as fond of him as I am. Um, we thought that this would be a great opportunity to, one, showcase that, like, the entrepreneur's journey and the whole reason why we connect ourselves to different people in the world and we build these tribes like we talked about earlier in this month, and we really support each other in this space, is because when it comes to times like this, when you're facing a really complicated part of your life and you need that support of other people, this is what that would look like. And because we're in the business of modeling what we want to see in the world and creating the world that we want to live in, instead of replacing him and thinking like, oh, okay, well, you're sick, or you have this medical procedure that needs to happen today, so we'll just put somebody else in your place and our lives will keep going on. We thought it would be more pertinent and more beautiful and more of the world that we want to see to still have him on the show, but in a unique and different kind of a way. So today we will have our special guest come through, and please forgive us ahead of time just in case, because we are not sure how this technology is going to work, good or bad, but bear with us. And while I set up the technology part of it, I will allow Andrea to help us stay inspired and introduce our special guest today.
So we are about to hear from Mr. Dan McPherson, and he is a remarkable individual that came into our lives through our networking in the virtual space. And I'm really looking forward to him joining us, inshallah, when he is recovered. But he is an author, and he has a book coming out. We're going to talk about that. He's also a podcaster, and the name of his podcast is Dreams Are Real. And then he's the founder of um, an organization slash teaching platform called Leaders Must Lead. And Dan is also one of our co-conspirators on our Clubhouse channel. He's one of our, heart-centered leaders, and he is indeed a heart-centered leader. He has just sort of embraced Monica and I and what we do and how to like bring life and light into our businesses. So it is a really great pleasure of ours to have you hear from him, because you're going to hear more from him, because he's somebody that we want to lift up, not just today, but in general, because of what he does and how he does it. So I'm thinking that Dan is ready to be showcased, and we will hear from him right about now.
As I consider my entrepreneurial journey, I think back to when I was young, much younger, in fact, back to when I was 2 years old and I was hidden from my father. I was taken out of that situation and into a separate abusive situation. And then I lived with my mother in poverty for a number of years after that, where she was literally selling herself so that we had rent and so that we had food. And I was bullied and dealt with that. And then when she got remarried, I was exposed to a lot of craziness, drugs, violence, things like that. My life got pretty insane. And even my friends didn't know how bad it was in my head, that I was struggling with anxiety and depression at that young age. And it was when I was 16 that I survived my first suicide attempt. And I'm so grateful that I did. I learned two lessons that would be very key in my journey and are to this day. The first was that I was meant to do something significant, that I was meant to help a lot of people. I had no idea what that would hold or how I would get there, and I would search for 25 years to figure it out, but I got that one. The other one was that no matter what your environment, it may have influence, but it's your choices that truly create change. And so I started making choices. I went to college, I went and worked in sales and became very good at that. I realized I wasn't helping enough people, so even though I was making six figures, I gave that up to go into sales management and help a bunch of other people make six figures. I became very good at that. I wasn't helping enough people in my mind. I just had this driven search for fulfillment that I couldn't find. So I gave that up and went into retail and became a district manager, a regional director, and went on looking. Even though I was managing a couple hundred million in business and a couple thousand people, I never found the fulfillment that I was looking for. And so when there came this moment that I knew I either had to do it or admit that I wasn't going to do it, I don't have any quit in me. So I said, sure. My bosses flew in. They offered me my third promotion in 5 years. I sat back. I looked at them. I said, what would it look like if I declined? I walked away with zero and no other money in the house and decided to start my own company, Leaders Must Lead. And I started coaching. I figured out who I help, which is women, creatives, and people in the LGBTQ community, because they're people who feel like I did when I was a kid. They're people who I seem to speak to and are drawn to me. And they're people who move big things in the world. I figured out my mission. I figured out that my goal in the world, my North Star, if you will, is to inspire true generational change to reduce the larger problems of society, like human trafficking, hunger, poverty, racism, by 15% or more in the next 15 years. And I figured out that to do that, I needed to help 1 million of those people who were drawn to me to achieve their dreams. So that's everything that I work toward in life and in business. And from there, we built our group coaching platform, our podcast Dreams Are Real, where we can tell these powerful stories came out of it. And even our upcoming book is related to that as well. It's trying to share this inspirational journey that says, no matter how bad it is, no matter how difficult it is, there's always light through the darkness, and dreams are always real. Take all of that, wrap it together with my number one core belief in the world, which is that people matter most and relationships are everything. And you have a pretty good picture of the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, with much more still to come, I hope.
As you can hear, he's quite a remarkable man, and we are wishing him well today and lifting him up so that all goes well. We are also, Monica, there you are. He has the details about his upcoming book. I think we are helping with a pre-launch. So tell us a little bit about the book.
So Andre and I, as he was prepping for this really large surgery on his heart, which is kind of funny that it's his heart that's the thing that he's having it on, because he has one of the biggest hearts, and so sometimes I think, well, maybe his heart is just so big that it can't contain itself, and so the doctors need to help kind of contain this man's giant heart. And one of the things that we, as entrepreneurs and as people who help other people, humility is a thing that I think we all kind of have really deep in us, and we would never ever ask for people to support us in any kind of a way. And so when Andre and I were meeting yesterday, and I was like, I really kind of want to figure out a way to support him in a way that would be honorable and integrable, and something that if I were down, that I would want someone to do as well. This surgery that he is going to have is a very expensive procedure, and we are all in an abundance mindset. And so when we were having the conversation with him, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to sign the papers and get the surgery, and I'll figure out the money on the other side." And I was like, "Hey, you made it before, brother. You'll make it again. It's not a big deal." But then when Andre and I were talking, and I was like, what would I want someone to do for me if I knew I was strapped and I had to do this procedure? And but I definitely wouldn't want a handout, right? I wouldn't want people to like do a GoFundMe account and like raise money for me and all those things. But I would want someone to propel my vision forward, right? I would want someone to patronize my business and support the vision and mission that's coming forward. And I don't know if you hear, I say it almost every week, that our vision is to help millions of professionals worldwide change their lives and grow their businesses. And you just heard his vision, which is he wants to create systematic change all over the world in communities that were bullied or underserved. And he's doing that through his business. And I thought, what better way to pour love into him, not only to send healing, vibrational, thoughts and vibes and love, sending prayers and all of those things, but also, what if we encourage everyone who's watching to support him in his business? And if that is, I don't know about you guys, but that would be how I would want people to support me. And so Alana should be dropping in the chat. So if it's not there yet, it will be in the chat, a link to his book. We are doing a pre-launch of his book that's coming up. And the funny part is I'm asking him to give us the links to his book so that we can help pre-sell his book so that we can make money for him for his surgery. And he's like, yeah, well, a portion of the proceeds are going to this nonprofit. So even in supporting him and supporting him through this business, he's still like, yeah, well, 10% of the book is still going to this organization for suicide prevention, because that is so very important to him. So if you want to double down on your good deeds this year, this would be the perfect way. I think there's a $20 version, a $40 version, and a $50 version, or something to that effect. But Alana will be dropping the links in the chat for you, or one of us as soon as we're off of this. Please buy Dan's book. Or pre-order his book. And I believe it's a PayPal link, so it should be able to be used anywhere in the world. But also subscribe to his channel, to Dreams Are Real. Hit that subscribe button, listen to the podcast, support him in what he's doing in that way as well. So if you have the monetary desire to kind of support him in that way, definitely buy the book. But if you just want to show your love and support just in general, and you may not necessarily be ready to put your dollars behind it, support his podcast channel, Dreams Are Real. Those are two great ways that you could support any entrepreneur when you want to support them, is by subscribing or buying their products. And in this case, we're pushing our energy to Dan. Yeah, Peggy?
And just remember, books are always a great gift. So, buy a book for you and buy a book for your mother-in-law or sister or whatever, whoever it is, because that's a good way to share the message and help him and support him. But as all of you know, following is support as well.
Absolutely. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add to my ask, Andrea?
I just want to add that I can't wait to get the book. And no, really, truly, Dan is such an impressive human being. I can't say enough good things about him. And we have been racking our brains about what to do and how to do it, because here's someone so of the people that I really want the karma to come around and embrace him and remind him of how valuable he is. So get the book, get gifts, like she said, it's going to be good. He's a man with a really big heart, mission, purpose, and a passion for people that just, it's inspiring to me. And not that I'm hard to inspire, but he makes me want to be better. And he's one of the few people I've met in recent times that makes me want to do that. And so I'm, after meeting with him, and I was like, I don't understand why you're not working more with MinkLife. I was like on him about it. I was like calling her up, like, what's wrong with all of you? Like, hello, like, it's like finding gold and going, is anyone going to spend this money? So, so that's how much he impresses me, and I want to be there for him. So I definitely strongly encourage it. And his podcast is fantastic. So many good things. I'm looking forward to a long relationship with him.
Absolutely. Which, extends even our conversation about marketing strategy, right? Like, how you show up for the people in your world is how they show up for you when you're in need. And so his marketing for us was really just about showing up and being genuine, and really kind of being very supportive of what we were doing, and really kind. And also, he has an amazing story as well. So the book is definitely worth it. But the point where when he's down, we picked up the torch and carried it for him. And that is also a part of your marketing strategy. How you treat people is how they will remember and want to uh, work with you, even when you don't have the legs to do it yourself. So I mean, it's one of the reasons why these two ladies are on here with me, is because they're those kind of people where it's like, nah, we're gonna do this together. We're gonna link arms and we're gonna make it happen. And Dan is a newer friend in our world, but definitely one that uh, we will want to work on. So with that, Andrea is going to have to take off because
I have a
she
little
has
bit
to.
of a client crisis. So, with that, happy Monday, everyone. I hate to jump off, but yeah, the texts are getting super insistent, so I better go. And
Okay.
hugs to everybody. Have a great
And
show.
don't forget to hang out with Andrea. Her links are in the bio as well. And she always has fabulous things going on in her world. So we will take it from here. Me and Peggy will
You
round
okay?
it out.
Bye, guys. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Pegs. So interesting show today so far, right?
Absolutely. It's been great.
All right, so you and I are left to hold it down with the keep networking uh, portion of this, and you love my quotes. So here's another one: know how to strategically be in the right place at the right time, and that is really kind of the whole point of marketing strategy. But what's interesting about that is most of the time people don't even realize that it really is about, you have to put yourself out there enough so that you are in the right place before someone needs you to be in there in the right time, right? So what are your thoughts about um, really kind of showing up very strategically and being in the right position, knowing your demographics and figuring out kind of how to be in the right place at the right time?
Well, I think that's just it. Think about who your potential clients are. Where do your clientele hang out? Like, who are you trying to reach? Who is the easiest people for you to reach, and where do they hang out? And be there, but don't be there like, listen to me, listen to me. Be there in a giving space, because people like to hang out with people that are sincere and genuine, not people that are trying to sell a used car or hustle, hustle, hustle. You know, people like just be genuine. And, you may think that I'm like, this is probably one of the most woo-woo things I'm going to say out loud on the on the show, but I am such a big believer in follow your gut. Like, there has been times that, we'll have something scheduled and I'll be like, I don't know what it is. I've looked forward to this for 3 weeks and I don't feel like I'm supposed to be there, and I'm supposed to be over here. And then something phenomenal will happen, or maybe something terrible happened elsewhere, whatever. But I'm just such a huge believer in, take the time to be present. And would you take the time to hear yourself, follow your gut, and don't be afraid to be available to people.
Absolutely. So yesterday in the talk that I gave, I was kind of laying out the landscape of uh, essentially that everything that we're doing in social media has a counterpart in the real world that we've all seen, we're all familiar with, we're all comfortable with. And so I gave the analogy of your Facebook group, or your Facebook is basically like a large mall, right? It's places where people go and loiter. There's some people who are there to do business and work. There are other people there who are just to play games, hang out with their friend, chat a little, right? It's a big giant mall. And if you think about it as a mall and you think about your Facebook page as the window to your store and your Facebook groups as the interior of your store, then you can see a little bit more how these abstract concepts of marketing strategy and like how to work with that. And so what was funny is, as I was telling this to the group, and I was saying, well, that's what that is. And if you think about LinkedIn as a billboard, right, and it's all on the side of the highway, it's pretty pictures that draw you in and make you think, oh, well, let me find out more about that. And if you think about as you're driving in your car, Clubhouse is a lot like the radio, and you kind of only listen to it when you're on your way to something else. It kind of usually isn't the destination, although sometimes it may be if you want to chill at home, right? And YouTube is the TV, and there's endless amounts of content. You can stay on there for hours on end at any given day and just kind of be in that space. And so what was hilarious is, and I was talking about LinkedIn being a country club where everyone's hoity-toity a little bit, and they're like, yes, well, I'm the expert in this, that, or the other, and they want to talk shop. And so what was funny is the group was like, well, what's TikTok? And I had to think about it for a second, and I was like, it's probably the skating ring. It's that fun place where you're just there to relax and have a good time and talk to your friends and enjoy some music and kind of just have this whole thing. And Twitter, was the other one that came up. Well, what is Twitter? And I thought, well, it's probably a little bit more like your tabloid, right? Where 50% of it can be trusted to have actual information, and then the other 50% are like conspiracy theories and random gossip and people complaining, right? And your email is very much like the newspaper, where it gets delivered with the coupons that you can clip and all those things. And so as I was laying out this kind of landscape of what we've seen, all of these different apps in real life, we use them in real life, one of the people in the audience was like, oh, I love that you posted in that way, because now I realize I don't want to be in the tabloid. Is it okay that I'm not in the tabloids? And I said, well, absolutely. Versace does not advertise in the Inquirer, right? Like, you're not going to see a Chanel number 5 ad in the Inquirer. It gives you the choice to choose where your audience is and where you're going to get the most bang for your buck if you understand who's on each of the platforms and how they look in real life. Mm-hmm. And so for me, when you say that, like, kind of you can choose where your people are, that's exactly what it is. It's your people are a certain place. So as long as you know who your demographic is, chances are if they're at the country club, they're probably not in the rolling rink, right? So you don't need to be in both. There might be a handful like Peggy who are on both. Reluctantly, she might go to the country club reluctantly, but really kind of enjoys her time on TikTok. Let's just put it that way. Loves to hang out at the roller skaters, right? But the majority, or the vast majority of your clientele, may not be in all of the places. They may only be in certain ones. And so really understanding how they consume their information really will help you identify how your marketing strategy will really kind of be helpful. What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. I have found, social media has been a struggle for me, because I feel like you're supposed to have a presence, everybody. You're supposed to, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do this. But it wasn't until I discovered Clubhouse that I really found my social media niche. And it's something that, I can schedule, I can, same thing. I've got 2 rooms every single week that I go there. But with every other social media, you have to be careful, because it can be a time stealer. I mean, mm-hmm. It's a great resource. I have found actual clients. I've had some of the most enlightening conversations and probably most enjoyable experiences ever. But, you can do that thing where you turn it on and all of a sudden you look at the clock and 2 hours have gone by and you're like, what the heck?
Oh, yeah.
So I think, just like, sometimes you go to the mall and you start, you go to the grocery store for one item and you're there for an hour and you've got a whole $300 shopping cart full of stuff. And, you can't go to the store hungry. You got to go with a list and with purpose, because mm-hmm. otherwise it can totally be a time stealer. And which is fine if you have the time, or if you just need a mental break, then schedule that. I mean, there are times I just don't want to think about anything. I just want to relax and still feel like I'm being present somewhere, and that's fine. But don't let it control you. I'm big about being in control of. I'm big on being in control even of my vices. It's like, yes, I enjoy this. I enjoy this a lot. So this is when I
You're the
can do the
tool,
thing that
not
I
me.
enjoy. Exactly. I'm the one, I'm the boss
Exactly.
here. And so, I think that's really important when we're talking about marketing, especially in social media, is because it can become the boss.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to have this, I've got to do this because of this algorithm. I have to get so many followers. Well, you know what? All you need is 5 good followers that buy your stuff and tell their friends.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
let's
And
be honest.
that was one of the questions that had came up well, what about the algorithms and what's the best time to post? Um and I said, ignore the algorithms, stop looking at followers, just show up and be consistent, right? And if 2:30 a.m. is the best time for you to be consistent, then by all means be consistent, because they're going to see it when they need to see it. Who's right for you is right for you. And so you might as well just put it out there and let the universe or the algorithms connect the people who are meant to see what you have to offer, and don't worry about that. And the other thing is, there's some people who are kind of like, well, I don't want to give these social media platforms any more money. But guys, you're going to not use your car to get to where you got to go because you got to put gas in it. That makes no sense to me. Use the tool, don't let the tool use you. If you are driving, if they're driving people to a certain place, why would you not show up in that place and say, hey, I got stuff to sell, who wants
Yeah.
some, right? Why would you not do that? And so that's one of those other things that I've been hearing about social media and people who are so reluctant to advertise on social media. And I'm like, they've already paid all the really big money to get to these people. Why would you not give them $10 of your money to get the thousands of dollars that's going to come in return? It just doesn't make sense. So if you're really, like you said, use the tool, don't let the tool use you, then you're really kind of setting yourself up for success in this space.
I
So
used to drive myself crazy with the algorithms, and it's like, no, I'm just going to do me. The right people will
yeah,
find me.
your people are the same crazy people who are up at 2:30 a.m. as well, right? Like
Exactly.
they're all
Exactly.
there. So we are definitely running out of time, but time was well spent. So what is one stellar thing we can do to build a marketing strategy? We'll just give one tip each, and then we will move on with the show a little bit. So what is one thing that you would tell someone, like,
Well,
do
you
this?
know what my one marketing strategy tip is?
A good
It's get
headshot.
an effective headshot that you can use as part of your marketing strategy. It's your first hello, it's your handshake, it is your introduction. And you knew I was going to say that.
I did. I did. But here's what I will say to piggyback off of your one headshot thing. So Peggy did my headshots. If you see any pictures of me in a red dress, those are Peggy's headshots. And I rotated 3 or 4 pictures through all of the things that I do. And can I tell you, every time it lands on a marketing material, it looks so freaking good. And it shows my personality, and people are impressed by it. So I would say, yes, I know that's what you were going to say, but it is also a really good one. The one that I would say is, get yourself a planner, a Mead old school, like uh, assignment planner that you would buy your children at Office Max, and dedicate it only to your marketing strategy, and sit down, get yourself some music, enjoy yourself, and just map out what you want that to look like on the calendar. That is going to help out quite a bit, and it costs you maybe $10. Don't go for these really expensive content planners that you have to try to figure out all that other stuff. Just break out with the old fashioned calendar and put on the calendar, these are the things that are happening in my world, and here's how far in advance I need to actually tell people that they exist, and map it out on an old fashioned calendar. It really, really does help. I have a calendar for my life, and then I have a calendar for my marketing. So that is my one tip. So between my headshot and my calendar, good to go. All
To
right.
go.
So with that, we obviously are at the end of the show. And so, what I would like to ask you is, if you need any help or if you have any questions about branding, please, please, please go to MinkLife Motivation /live and drop a line with us. Let us know what questions you want to have answered. We are getting ready to start a new batch of shows, and we want to share with you our knowledge, our expertise, and we want our experts to be able to come in and help you with that. So please, please, please share your things. And it is one of my favorite times, which is going to be a lot shorter today because it's just you and I. So it's time for announcements. So Peggy, what is happening and how can people connect with you?
It's Headshots by Peggy. I'm Headshots by Peggy everywhere except for Clubhouse. At Clubhouse, I am for Peggy, and you can find me everywhere. I also have a really cool link app. It's linqapp.com/Peggy, because I'm just like that. Peggy, that's all you need.
I don't know how you got to be like Cher.
It's
with
because
your
I'm just
name.
that cool. I am just that cool.
You get to
Madonna,
be like Madonna,
Cher,
Cher,
Peggy.
Beyonce,
Yeah.
Peggy.
Oprah, Ellen, Peggy.
Peggy, I don't know how you got to do that. Meanwhile, on this side, I have to put an M in the middle of my stuff because my name is so very generic. It's, yeah, so amazing. Well, you know, on this side of MinkLife Motivation, we have lots of stuff to do. One of which is our lovely conferences coming up, Embody Change to Thrive. We have 2 days, 6 sessions, 24 topics, 2 cities we're doing this in. We're talking about life, business, branding, and networking. And we're doing this in Sydney and in Los Angeles. You do not want to miss either of these. They're in the Sydney time zones and in the Los Angeles time zone from 9 to 4. And we are still looking for speakers. Why? Because we have a big vision, a big mission. And if we fill these spots in these conferences, we're working on the next set of them, which will be in Johannesburg / the UK as well. So please apply today. Also, this Thursday, we have the Power Partner Mastermind Mixer that's coming up. So check the links for that, or go to MinkLife Motivation so that you can sign up. You're going to meet awesome motivators. You get to share a commercial about what's happening in your world and also learn about how we can help you grow in your business and how we can kind of share the wealth. If you enjoyed this topic today, this came directly from the last module, the last aspect in the brand builder, where we talk about the 6 key components to your branding. And we will help you create habits that support your personal and business growth. We help you build stronger, authentic, mutually beneficial relationships, both in life and in business. We also help you create a strategy to support your business, life and business optimization. And we help you create a balanced and organized time management system while we align your actions to your vision to maximize your resources. And guess what? They're still available to try it for free. Now, this period of time of being able to try these 4 classes for free is actually coming to an end. So you want to get in now and get your free courses. We're looking at coming up on a year of the program in existing, and then we'll go to a different model. So don't wait to get your free course. Go directly to MinkLife Motivation. You'll see my video, welcome. And right next to me is a red button. Click that red button and access your passes to these awesome classes. You don't want to miss it. With that, I want to say thank you to Alana, who's always in the background producing the show, to my girl Peggy for hanging it out with me. Also to Andrea and Dan, we are wishing you light and love on your surgery today, and I think it's happening right this second as we speak. And remember that you have the power to activate the vision within you. With that, my last call to action: sharing is caring. So please share this video and let people know that you care about them by letting them be better in their marketing strategy. With that, Peggy and I are going to take off, and we are going to hang out with each other solo dolo without all of y'all. But we are so excited to see you next week. Same time.
I didn't know solo dolo was a term, but I think it's going to be our term now. Solo dolo.
Solo dolo. We're going to talk about all kinds of other stuff behind guys' backs. But we love you. We love you so much. And we will see you next week. Have a fabulous week. Bye.